Well, hello. Um, let's make another video about the Democratic primaries. So, one of the main things that happened today, well, apart from having the finalization of the results of the South Carolina primaries, is that both Tom Steyer and Buttigieg dropped out. That's pretty big. I don't understand how exactly that happened, like how Buttigieg decided to drop out. I'm going to be talking about it a little bit today. But another thing I'll be doing today is taking a look at the situation in the Super Tuesday states, accounting for Buttigieg's dropout, and trying to predict how the vote is going to go. But before we do that, I'm going to address my predictions for South Carolina. So, the way it went was that Biden got 39 delegates and Sanders got 15. Apparently, there is some dispute on this. Like, for some reason, Bernie Sanders only got 13 and Biden got 35, and six delegates are still unknown. I'm gonna be honest here. I'm gonna say it went like how the green papers um, for South Carolina went, which is giving 39 to Biden and 15 to Sanders. That's how they are. Of course, it's an official one, but it's looking pretty accurate. The only thing that might change a little bit, if they have a recount or something, is these two delegates here. They might switch hands. I don't think there's any other place where it's too close, like close enough that a few votes could swing it either way. So I don't see how they could be saying there's six delegates up for play when there's only really two that really show any chance of switching hands depending on the vote count. But whatever. However it happens, Biden got an overwhelming majority of the delegates. He got 70% of the delegates, and Sanders got the rest, being the only other viable candidate. Tom Steyer was banking on South Carolina. Obviously, didn't go his way, so he dropped out. And Buttigieg now, that's a situation that's definitely worth talking about. What the fuck happened with Pete Buttigieg? Why did he drop out like that? I'm gonna be honest here. My feeling on this issue is that there is gonna be some rat fucking here. Because here's the thing: Pete Buttigieg dropped out even though he won in Iowa. The recount went his way. He got that delegate. He got 14. Sanders got 12. And New Hampshire was a tie between Sanders and Buttigieg. So I don't get it. I really don't get it. I don't see how the hell did Buttigieg, of all people, decide that this was a good moment to drop out. And the reason why I think that is, I mean, as much as you might argue that, oh, of course he dropped out, he needs to because he doesn't really have a shot at winning the nomination. Well, neither does Klobuchar, neither does Gabbard, and definitely Warren doesn't, and yet they're all in. So what I feel like has happened here is that there was some serious pressure from the DNC against Buttigieg to make him drop out, so that this would help Biden in critical Super Tuesday states, as we're going to see here. Perhaps the most critical one is California, where Biden was just at the cusp of viability. Bloomberg was below it, Warren was below it, Buttigieg was below it, Klobuchar is hopeless. So it was looking like Sanders was going to run away with every single statewide delegate in California. That would be monumental. That would completely cripple the shit out of the others. That would mean that Sanders would walk out with a bare minimum of some 500 delegates from Super Tuesday. I think 538. They still haven't done an update because of, on Pete Buttigieg, but not here. Here, here they said that Sanders is gonna be with 540, but it's more likely that he would have even been able to maybe hop himself up to like maybe 600 or something. It would be a pretty crazy win, and it would put Sanders so far above everyone else. There is no hope for them to catch up to him during the votes. But now there is a real issue that needs to be contended with. Now, what needs to be accounted for, looking at the polls now, well, we can already see that the changes have like there has already been some serious effects here. Now it's expected that in 64% of the scenarios calculated by 538 right now, no one gets more than half the pledged delegates. A plurality, of course, 60% going for Bernie Sanders, with the only other person with a serious chance being Biden. And yet, chance of getting 50% really minimal for Sanders, 23% against 13% of Biden. Sanders is expected to get some 1,600 delegates. Biden is expected to get about 1,400, with the others being divided among the remaining candidates. So that's pretty complicated here, and it needs to be talked about. So we're gonna start going through the states. I'm gonna make my predictions on this map here, and I'm gonna be looking at the polls and trying to make predictions based on that. Of course, we do have a morning consult poll, which showed that Buttigieg's voters were pretty evenly split among the others. Like, for example, Sanders had a very minor advantage. Like, he got 21% of them. Biden gets 19. Warren gets 19. Bloomberg gets like 17. Right? Pretty, um, pretty much how it goes. Buttigieg was sitting at around 10%, now went down to 8% as we approached Super Tuesday, and now, of course, he's not going to get any votes. Of course, he's still going to get votes because of early voting. There's plenty of early voters in California and in other states. So we're going to see how that affects. I mean, for example, there's some people who voted for Young while he was still in the race in California. So, sorry, need to drink something there. So, we're going to have to take a look at the situation as it stands. So there's two polls that came out today. Pretty good pollsters too for California. Both show Sanders winning with other candidates on the cusp of not being viable. So it is worth discussing that maybe Sanders would have been the only viable candidate in California. That's no longer the case. No longer going to be the case. Well, with this happening, um, dividing the voters between Sanders and the others, um, it really seems like Sanders is going to go up to some 35% ish. Biden is going to go up to roughly 17%. Warren is going to go up to 16. Bloomberg is going to go up to 15. We still have Klobuchar and Gabbard, and Klobuchar is going to get her 5% ish. Maybe we could say that it rounds out to 5%. Gabbard is going to be at 1.5%. But we also have to account for Steyer dropping out, and Steyer got roughly 3% of the vote in California. I think Steyer mostly goes for Biden or Bloomberg, so I don't know. It seems to me that right now we might be at a situation where Biden's gonna get a lot of delegates from California. So I'm gonna make my prediction here. Now, the problem with California and actually predicting how many delegates they're gonna get is that only 144 are given on the statewide vote. 271 are given based on the congressional districts. That's so difficult to predict. So difficult. So I'm gonna say that Sanders, Biden, Warren, and Bloomberg are gonna be viable, right? Um, so Sanders 35. I'm gonna say I don't know some 17 for Biden, some 16 for Warren, 15 for Bloomberg. That's 83%. The rest being non-viable and other candidates. We could make it an even 80 because I think that there's a chance that Bloomberg might not get that 15%. But I think it. I mean, there's an issue here. There's another issue here, which is the fact that we can we can expect that Biden and Bloomberg underperform the polls, at least in California, because they have the lowest enthusiasm among voters. Bloomberg especially. So there's a chance that even with Buttigieg giving them a bump, they might not get there. But I'm gonna say they will. And yeah, with Sanders overperforming, I'm gonna say even that Sanders gets like closer to 40%, right? Let's say 40% with, you know, I guess we could say 15, 15, 15. There go 85. Um, the rest being divided among the voters that are no longer in, like Young and Stair and Gabbard and Klobuchar. Klobuchar's probably gonna get some 5%. Then Stair's gonna get some 2%. Gabbard's gonna get 1% ish. So that's already like 93% of the votes. Young is gonna get some votes. Uh, with that said, out of the 85%, they're left. We have to. That's a 47% of the votes. I'm gonna say then that Bernie gets roughly 50%. I'm gonna make it a little bit more, maybe some 55% of the delegates, because there's also the districts. You know what? I might even I'm gonna be very bold and say that Sanders gets 60% of the delegates. Biden gets roughly 20%. Yeah, let's say 21. Right there you go. Warren gets about 20. Oh, hang on. No, no. I'm sorry. Some. There you go. Yeah, sure. And then the rest being divided among the others. Let's say Bloomberg gets most of it. Yeah, pretty much how I think it'll go. It could even have like Sanders go down a little bit to like 50% on the nose, and then like give Biden a little bit more. There's a possibility that some people pick up a few delegates in like minor districts. Um, yeah, given that, yeah, it might be a bit closer than this, because I think that there's a chance that yeah, Porter like because they're like Bloomberg is probably gonna get delegates in districts of like Republican voters. They seem to like Bloomberg a little bit more, and those are some places where he campaigned pretty hard. I don't think anybody else is going to get delegates. Buttigieg, I think, is going to be barred from getting delegates if he even gets that many votes in there. Um, then we're going to have to take a look at Texas. Texas is looking pretty close between the two. Um, like Sanders is sitting there, but everybody else is pretty much in it. Like Buttigieg dropping out with 8% of the vote is pretty crazy, man. What the fuck? This is a really weird situation, man. there's a little glitch here that it so makes it difficult to get to March 1st. But going on how it is right now, I'm gonna say that Sanders gets like 30% of the vote. Biden gets some 20-ish. Bloomberg gets his 15%. Warren might jump up to 15%. So with that said, that's 30 plus 20-ish plus 15-ish plus 15. That's 80% of the vote. So let's make it so Sanders gets roughly 40% of the delegates, let's say a little bit more. Yeah. Biden gets another healthy amount. There you go. Roughly this. Um, like Texas is a pretty easy Sanders win. North Carolina. North Carolina is one that seems to be going for Biden pretty hard. Where's North Carolina? There it is. North Carolina is one where Biden even picked up a lead in the last few days. Given the situation, I think it is safe to say that Biden wins this one. Some 25% of the vote. It's going to be pretty close. Like maybe he gets 27, Sanders gets 25, Bloomberg gets like 17-ish, maybe 15-ish, and then Warren picks up like 13%. So that's 80 again. Um, so North Carolina, I think it's going to go a little bit to. Then Sanders picks up like some 30%. Then Warren might pick up a few like this, and Bloomberg picking up the rest. There you go, roughly look like this. Um, let me take a look at how different I am from these. So here it says 194 for Sanders. I'm sitting at 208. 111. Yeah, I'm being bullish for Warren. Texas, yeah, quite bullish for Sanders. Yeah, quite bullish for Warren too. I'm kind of predicting that Warren's supporters are going to come out in strength, but they might very well not. Virginia. Virginia is another one that's expected to go for Biden. But wow, somehow that Sanders has been holding this lead, but Buttigieg just dropped out. So that's 11% of the votes that need to be redistributed. That's pretty crazy. I'm gonna say that Sanders gets 30% here, with Biden getting like 25. Um, Bloomberg maybe 20. Warren was sitting at 10%. Right? So Sanders picking up some 40. Biden picking up like roughly 30. Bloomberg picking up another, I don't know, 20, 25. And Warren the rest. Um, Massachusetts. Massachusetts is a pretty major one. Because this is one where Sanders expected to win against Warren. But Buttigieg was actually viable here, pretty much. So this might push Bloomberg and Biden into viability. and give a little bit of a jump for. It gives everybody a little bit of a jump. So I'm gonna say that Sanders, sorry, picks up like roughly 30% of the vote. Warren picks up some 20-ish. Everybody gets roughly 15. Sorry. Okay, 80. Yeah, that's about it. There's some early voting to count for, but I'm gonna say that Sanders gets like 40% of delegates here. Warren picks up another third. And then everybody else divides among the rest. Um, Minnesota. Minnesota's one where Klobuchar is expected to win. It's going to be an interesting one for real. Sanders and Klobuchar are neck to neck, but with Buttigieg dropping out, I think Sanders actually might win because Klobuchar and Buttigieg have been quarreling a lot. So I guess this is a place where Sanders might be benefiting from Buttigieg dropping out somehow. So yeah, we might see like Warren maybe pick up viability here, but everybody else doesn't seem to be likely to get any viability. So I'm gonna say that Sanders gets like 30, Klobuchar sits at 25, and Warren picks up 15. There you go. Yeah, yeah. Let's make it even, right? Um, Biden is expected to get a few. How? Like 10 delegates there. I don't know how he would do that. Unless he's doing like particularly well in some congressional district. That's just not what the polls are saying. Colorado seems to be a seems to be a blowout for Sanders, but Bloomberg and Biden might be pushed into viability here, so I'm gonna say they do. So Sanders gets like 33% of the vote. I'm gonna say that converts like 45% of delegates. Warren gets like maybe 20%, so let's say 25. See, something like this. There you go. Then we have Tennessee. Tennessee is another major one. This is one where there's just been not fucking been polling. It's expected to go Biden, but it's. I'm gonna be honest here. Like, I don't know where 538 is getting these numbers from. Like, I mean, here for like this Survey Monkey, man. What the fuck? No wonder it's D minus. 128 voters. My God, man. Kamala Harris in there. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say that yeah, Bloomberg. Yeah, this one is gonna be pretty much. You know what? I'm gonna say that it goes. I'm gonna be bullish for Biden. I guess. Yeah, 25ish. I don't know. Sanders gets 20. Rest gets divided between Bloomberg and Warren. There you go. pretty much. I might go a little bit better for Biden there. Alabama. Alabama's another one that I think hasn't seen much in terms of polling. Yep. Yep. Absolutely atrocious polling. They have tried to do like a little bit there, but I'm gonna say that Alabama just Biden gets the vast majority. I'm gonna say 50%. Sanders gets a few. Bloomberg gets another few. There you go. Boom. That's roughly how to go. Oklahoma. Oklahoma, I think, also hasn't seen much polling. Well, February there's been one. Or Biden seems to be winning. I guess I'm gonna go with this one, even though it's not exactly a good poller, but whatever. There's another one saying Bloomberg wins. What the hell? Yeah, this is a pretty big disparity here. Man, good fucking question. I don't know. I'm gonna say that Oklahoma. I don't know. I'm gonna say Biden win this one. Sanders gets like viability, right? Bloomberg might shit out a few. There you go. Yeah, this seems okay. Arkansas. I think this also hasn't seen much polling. Yeah, one saying Bloomberg wins. Arkansas. I'm gonna say Biden wins this one. Sanders is viable, right? Bloomberg shits out a few, and yeah, there we go. Utah. So basically, so far, what we can see is that in states where the Democrats have no chance of winning, Biden seems to be doing pretty good. Um, well, here is Utah. It's been two polls there. Sanders wins handling both of them, so I'm gonna say Sanders picks up like the vast majority here. Then the rest gets divided. Like Biden manages some liability. Warren seems to be doing okay. Bloomberg, okay. So the rest gets divided between these two. So I'm gonna pull back on. There you go. Something like this. Yeah. Then there's Maine. Good old Maine. I think this one is a walkout win for Bernie Sanders. Let's just confirm it with the polls. Yeah, it's pretty much a walkout. But of course, Buttigieg was viable, and now he's not. So I guess it goes. I guess that helps. Like I'm gonna say that Sanders gets like half. Biden ekes out a few. I think. How's Biden doing? Yeah, just barely. Right, like this, and then I think maybe Biden gets a few more. Right, maybe like this. Yeah, maybe something like this. Um, Vermont. Yeah, Vermont is a walkout for Bernie. I'll be surprised if anybody even is viable. Yeah, Buttigieg was the main viable one. Yeah, okay. So I think Vermont might actually be a full win for Sanders. American Samoa. That's I'll be surprised if there is even. Yeah, there aren't any polls. I don't know where they're getting these numbers from. Uh, I mean, just 6 delegates. I'm gonna be honest here. I think it'll be just divided evenly between Sanders, Biden, maybe Warren. Just why not, right? Maybe even Bloomberg picks up one. I don't know. Pretty stupid there. So anyway, with this said, after Super Tuesday, the situation looks a lot better for Bernie with 635 delegates. I might be a little bit bullish for Bernie in California and Texas. We'll see how it goes. Biden, of course, picks up so many more delegates than he would have if Buttigieg hadn't dropped out. Oh, look, they updated it again. Oh, it looks even worse. That's amazing. Um, well, yeah, yeah. Buttigieg had about 50. Now they all pretty much go to Biden, and that's reflected here. Biden and Bloomberg. Bloomberg walks out with some 190. Yeah, that's about what was expected. Klobuchar picking up pretty much only in Minnesota. Um, 32 here. It says 33. Warren, I was a bit bullish for Warren, definitely, but she's gonna be pushed up into viability in some states because of Buttigieg's dropout. So I think it might really go this way. Sanders might get a little bit of a bump up in a few places, but Biden gets, yeah. I'm being bullish for Sanders because I'm expecting him to overperform the polls a little bit because a lot of the polls they don't account for youth turnout, and I think that Sanders is driving up the turnout in a few places. South Carolina saw a turnout that was almost on par with 2008, so that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So I think we're going to see something similar in across Super Tuesday, maybe except these southern states, since they're not too Democrat. So I think this is how the situation is going to turn out in Super Tuesday. It's pretty difficult to take a look at it given the situation with Buttigieg. I have no idea how well the votes can be accounted for given the situation with early voting. My guess is that my best guess is that they're just going to throw out the votes. So even if Buttigieg somehow gets 15% in a few places or in some districts, I think they throw out his votes and basically the election. Like I think they would be counted as if they were blank votes, so they're just invalid votes. So in that case, I guess the threshold for getting 15% would be a bit smaller. It would be like 13%. So I think that will definitely help in a lot of places, especially California. California and Texas, they just became a lot more competitive because of this. Like those were like California is where Sanders could pretty much decide the race. Sanders could have picked up like 300 delegates here, all right, and now he's not. Now he's not going to do it. After Super Tuesday, what might happen is, well, Klobuchar is definitely going to drop out. Gabbard might possibly finally decide to drop out. I don't know what the fuck her plan is. Um, but this gives a lot of life to the campaigns of Warren and Biden, and of course drains the life away from Bloomberg's campaign a bit harder because Bloomberg, I mean, he was already struggling, and Super Tuesday is his entire strategy. And honestly, I don't think there's much to be gained for Bloomberg there. Like, he's not going to win a single state. So it remains to be seen how the situation is going to play out for that week into the other Tuesday with another series of delegates up for grabs, 365, including the Democrats abroad. Democrats abroad is gonna be a fun one to take a look at because it's gonna be all over the place. There's gonna be people who voted for Young. There's gonna be people who voted for um, all kinds of people. Like people who dropped out early on. I think they're definitely gonna see some votes in here, and I think that this means that everybody's gonna be viable pretty easily. And yeah, there's no way they can pull this. So I'm gonna say that yeah, it's gonna be a mess, man. Like the race is gonna get a lot more complicated from here on out because it's gonna turn into a four-person race between Sanders, Warren, Bloomberg, and Biden. Basically, Bloomberg and Biden spoiling each other, and Warren and Sanders spoiling each other. I think it needs to be said that it is pretty disgusting how the DNC is handling this election. Throwing out Buttigieg is definitely a strategy to boost Biden to be more competitive with Sanders. And of course, Warren is staying in to steal votes away from Sanders as much as possible. Man, Warren is a fucking cancer. I mean, holy shit. There was a moment in the race, like last year, where she had higher than 50% chance of winning the nomination. Now, she's at she's lower than Clinton, according to RCP. I think betting odds, I think, right? Yeah, Sanders at 53.5. Clinton, fucking Hillary Clinton is at 4.4%. Buttigieg has dropped out, is sitting at 3.8%. Warren is 2.1%. Obama is at 1%. So Warren is dead. Her campaign is dead. It has been dead for a long time. The issue is, of course, that she wants to spoil Bernie. She wants to ruin Bernie's campaign. She's working with the DNC to prevent a progressive from winning the nomination. That's gonna kill the Democratic Party, but they're still gonna go ahead with it because you know what? They don't give a fucking shit. It's disgusting. And the only hope there is really is that Sanders just manages to win, just gets the majority of delegates. But that's looking mightily difficult because here's the thing: um, after Super Tuesday, there's 3,000 delegates in play, 700 of which are the super delegates, right? So there is in reality, yeah. So there is in reality a something that really needs to be accounted for, which is that there's just man, it's fuck, it's so disgusting what they're trying to do, man. Basically, Bernie needs to get in there with 1,990 delegates, right? Now he would need some major wins everywhere to manage to get there, but we already know that that's not going to be the case with, say, Florida. You know, we can take a look at Florida here. Florida's looking really bad for Sanders. Excuse me. What? What? What happened there? Okay, anyway. Look at this shit. Look at this fucking shit, right? Like, Sanders is teetering at the edge of viability here. Like, with Buttigieg dropping out, it's pretty much guaranteed to be viable. But this is pretty bad, man. And of course, Warren is holding him back. So, it could have been a more competitive race here, but it's not going to be. So, of course, there's going to be a situation here where I mean, the Florida primaries in March 17th. It might even be that Bloomberg drops out. And if Bloomberg drops out, I think it might even be game over for Sanders because Warren is going to stay in until the nomination because she is going to be that bitch. She's going to be a cunt. She's going to be a fucking wall for Sanders. Like she refuses to work with him. She has decided to be to play into the DNC hands, and honestly, for no real benefit. That's another thing that pisses me off. What the fuck is she expecting to get from the DNC? She's still progressive. Like she still supports progressive talking points. They're not gonna give her anything. At the very best, maybe, just maybe, they're gonna give her like a cabinet position or something. Maybe that's what she's hoping for. Man, it's just it boils my blood because it is beyond stupidity here. Like there is no fucking reason whatsoever that Warren should be staying in this fucking race, but she will stay and she will steal every single fucking vote she can from Sanders. She's gonna attack Sanders in every debate she can. The next debate is gonna be on March 15th. Until then, there's gonna be another 365 delegates. 371, in fact, because North Mariana caucuses. And it's just going to be before the Florida primary and some other, which is one of the most important primaries. And there's going to be probably a debate in like April before New York and Pennsylvania. Like those are the main races that are left. Illinois and Ohio are also pretty important. I'm going to see how that goes. Uh, let's see if we can see how Illinois is going right now. It's going Sanders, but that was February 20. And um, Ohio is going Sanders as well. But it's been a while since we've seen the last poll here. And there was one for Biden here. What? Wait, how are they getting these fucking numbers then? Did the thing here bug out? Wait, what? There's not a single poll showing Biden winning here. So why the showing Sanders winning here? So why the fuck is Sanders sitting first? Closest one is an Emerson poll that shows Biden with a very, very slim lead. But this is, my God, Kamala Harris is in there. No, hang on. This is, oh my God, this is no, 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 no. This is from October. That's crazy. Nah, I don't know how high it's gonna go. But anyway, man, it's Warren raised a bunch of money in February, but I don't know, man. Like her campaign is dead in the water. In fact, it is kind of disgusting of her to keep running and keep taking money from people. When like Young dropped out, and like one of the reasons he dropped out, as he stated, is like, okay, I can't keep taking money from people in a campaign I have no chance of winning. And that's exactly what Warren is doing here. She has no chance whatsoever of winning. At very best, at very best, she's gonna have some 200 delegates to rub together to maybe play kingmaker if the convention is really really contested. Like if it's down to like it could go either way between Sanders and Biden, but more than likely, if I were to fill this all in, Sanders would be sitting at like 1,700 delegates, um, which is 300 below what he needs, and Biden would be at like 1,500. And Warren, of course, would throw her 200-ish into Biden's back, and then Biden would get the boost from the 700 delegates or so as super delegates, and boom, Biden gets the 2,400 delegates he needs to win. Yeah, like I mean, we could say, of course, we don't know how the super delegates are going to vote, but we could say that at least some 10% are going to vote Sanders because they that's how it went in let's make an even 80 if I can, whatever, 83 then. That's the closest I can get. So you could say that there's going to be some 10-ish, maybe even up to 20% of the superdelegates voting Sanders because that's about how it went with Hillary in 2016. There might even be a few that are still like holding out votes for like Warren and stuff, but yeah, we can expect the rest to just go Biden. Like I don't know, some 680 of them, like 90, like some 80% of them to just vote Biden, and the rest just divide among the rest. Who knows where they'll go? But this is how the race really is looking right now. So Sanders would be having to pick up very commanding wins in a bunch of states just to like breathe here, you know. So like DC, I don't know, but we could see like New York going a lot for Sanders, like maybe some um Pennsylvania. What if it goes that way? Like let's actually take a look at this, right? Like even if Sanders is getting like, okay, let's say Sanders gets like 15% here, just barely ekes out some votes. Um, Washington State's probably gonna go pretty hard for Sanders. Let's say 50%. Oregon maybe 50%, right? Mm, Maryland, I think Sanders wins there. So let's say 50%. Connecticut, let's say 50%. Rhode Island, I don't know, 40%. Like this is just a very tentative little thing here to see how good Bernie's chances are. New Jersey, I think New Jersey goes Sanders a little bit. Delaware, DC, might go Sanders pretty hard. Michigan, let's say 40% Sanders, right? Wisconsin. So with these, Sanders still sitting at 13. He needs another 1,000. Like Ohio, I don't know how that will go, but Sanders get 30% here. Illinois, maybe 40%. These hours isn't just gonna give the bare 15% for Sanders. Like I think at least he can manage to get um, viability there. Goodness, still sitting at 1,500. You see how difficult the situation is looking for Sanders. Like I really don't think there's much of I think this might be a bit of a death blow to Sanders really. Um, the A is Democrats abroad, right? Let's say it goes overwhelmingly Sanders. Guam, I don't know. It's just I have no idea how those look. Montana, let's yeah, it's pretty bad. There you go. With all of this accounted for, look at the situation. Sanders gets some 1,600 delegates in the final tally. like Sanders, we need to get some really commanding wins and pick up a lot of votes in a lot of places. So yeah, it is actually pretty disheartening to see Buttigieg drop out, and we can see the rat fucking really going towards Biden here. It seems like they're gonna try and do their best, and they're possibly gonna steal the nomination from Bernie. Like the best hope there is that Bernie really does overperform. You know, like Bernie really does pick up really does pick up like 300 delegates here and 150 delegates here, and that might shut up like the possible people that would be up against him. Like that might pull him up a little bit more in other states. But yeah, it's oh man, how bad the situation is. You know, this sucks so much. Like you know, look at that, still 1741. Well, um, with this depressing note, I guess I gotta end this video. Like it's man, I really hope Super Tuesday doesn't go this way. If it goes even harder for Bernie, and we can see Bernie really picking up some good wins here. But given how the situation is, it looks like the fix is in, boys. Oh man, fuck. Like Buttigieg drop now hits like a brick. I'm trying to keep the hopes up. I hope people do. I hope people do, and I hope that Sanders really pulls it through, man. But not looking very likely. Ooh, man. All right, boys. I'll see ya. Like the video, subscribe, please comment. Tell me if you think that I analyzed something wrong. I would love to hear some more hopeful comments. In fact, people believing in this. Um, yeah, I'll be seeing you guys. I'll be glued to the fucking computer screen on Super Tuesday. I really need to see how this turns out. But in any case, I hope you guys have an excellent week. Um, and enjoy the little Sunday that's still left. So I'll see you guys. Bye bye.